Hey there, hikers. It's been a while since we've done any trips, but we're doing a little something different this time. We're at Cumberland Gap National Historical Park. At one time, this was a gateway to the West. In 1769, Daniel Boone made his first trip through, and shortly after that, he started bringing settlers in. And there are several trails around the park, and there's also some settlements. We're going to try to see how much we can fit in the next few days, and we'll bring you along with us. Okay, one of the first attractions we have here at the Visitor Center is one of the rangers, our friend Stormy here. He does colonial type blacksmithing, and he does exhibition. He actually does the work while he's here. He learned the trade. He was taught by someone that was here before, and he's developing his craft right now. He can perform things. Also, he does coopering, which is making buckets and barrels and all that type of thing. So we'll do you a little close-up of him.
Yeah, if you go on the Tennessee side, it's probably gone. It always burns off quicker. This is a colonial era forge, right? Something Lewis and Clark might have had on their expedition out west. It's coal fire, so our coal can get up to about 3,000 degrees when it's real hot. We got a double lung bellows here in the back, and this is what's forcing air into that fire. As I get going and keep pumping, you'll start to see those coals go from that dark red to more bright yellow colored, and that's when I'm getting hot.
get mad at
Here's
us
some
for.
more. Look.
Yeah.
settlement. We have about an hour drive from here, so along curvy back country roads, and then we'll hit a gravel road at some point too. My name is Brittany, and this is Larry, and we will be your tour guides today. So any questions along the way, feel free to ask. And we have plenty of time between here and Hensley Settlement to get acquainted with everybody in the van. A big question I have for you all that I will answer throughout the tour, but I want you all to think about just a little bit, okay? You don't have to answer me right away, but just think about, is why would they have moved up here on the mountain? It's the ultimate question of the day. So we'll answer that, like I said, throughout the tour. But starting of the settlement was initially about 500 acres, and I think it was like 508 to be exact, but right at 500 acres. The fact that their hog meat never tasted the same after the American chestnuts were gone. But the Lige Gibbons cabin is, Lige was Nancy and Willie Gibbons' son, and that was their oldest son. And he didn't own property technically, but this was his parents' property and he lived on it. And leave the lid shut until you needed something else. Anvil, you can see the vise over here where they had the fire, everything like that. And then, now, me personally, I am a lot more familiar with the woodworking aspect of it versus the blacksmithing aspect of it, but I do know.
So they didn't have electric up here at all.
No. But keeping your food cool, getting your fresh water, whatever the case may have been. A spring house was very important to a lifestyle like this. Now this one needs some work. Larry, you were wanting to talk about the Amish. This is where I was about to cue the Amish conversation. So here.
In the spring of every year, a group of Amish come in to help us on rebuilding these old buildings. And typically they're the Amish boys. In the Amish, you're a boy until you get married.
But, yeah. Spring houses were a better work animal. They could carry a lot more poundage if you needed them to, and they had massive involvement. So chicken coop here, we do have, may not even be able to see it today here. And in the long run, they tried to have an operating mill up here, but they realized after a while that A, they didn't have enough water source to be able to do that and a steel. Yeah, it does. But this was also the barn because this was the biggest barn in the settlement. This was also the barn if someone passed the military that they could body the wall. Only time the hog pens were ever used were for what? Fattening them up, ready to slaughter. When Thanksgiving up here, you didn't have a typical Thanksgiving meal. You usually had some version of hog at some point, yeah.
No.
There was comfrey in it. So this chimney is for a cook stove because you didn't need a whole chimney until it come out of the wall. That cook stove pipe's coming out right here, so you didn't need all this to be rock. That's a lot of rock, a lot of time and effort you didn't need to put into it. So
A termite got hungry for apples. Evidently.
kids were here in the schoolhouse, and like I said earlier, it revolved around harvesting season. So whether you know the kids were meant to be here in school or not, if it was harvest season, they were right out there in harvest. They were in the mix of it all, and that's the big reason they had such big families up here too, is so they had to have the big families to help survive. Weeks upon end, sitting and making a quilt of scrap clothing, different things like that, and turn it into something beautiful. But of course, you had to have heavy quilts up here in the wintertime or you wouldn't survive the winter. Here you go. These two cabins that you're seeing over here, which are the only two left. The barn to this, and then the two cabins up here. Both of those cabins are modernized on the inside, so they have electric and running water. They're fine, nice cabins on the inside. Now the outsides are a little bit different, but the aesthetic is very close to what these are. But they've both been completely rebuilt over the years.
And those are the ones that there's rangers staying? Or?
Volunteers, rangers, yeah. And then you have Andrew, Jack, and Josephine. Andrew Jack was Burton Hensley Sr.'s oldest son, also Nancy Ann's brother. And they're in the cemetery, but like I said, there's not many actual adults in the cemetery because most of them moved off and ended up was buried somewhere else. And so,
Is this the footstone?
well, this is